The Local Show, sponsored by Victory in Motion, home of knee repair, not knee replacement, on NewsRadio 570 WSYR, on 106.9 FM, and live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. The Local Show features in-depth conversation with business owners, employees, and influential business leaders throughout Central New York, exploring their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in our growing community. The Local Show is produced locally by Zoe Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Up the creek without the paddle, that's The Local Show right here on 570 WSYR. Guest host with me today is Rick Gary. I'm Tom Sicoscio Jr., like you really care. But Rick is here.
Tom, give yourself some credit, will
yes,
you please?
I'll give myself a nickel's worth of credit.
I'd move it up to 7 cents, right. But yeah.
You know, I noticed that back when you were on TV, and you were a weather guy. You were never a meteorologist.
Yeah.
You were the weather guy, and you were funny, and the weather was much better. Back when you were on the air.
It's better to know what you're not talking about.
Yeah.
And that way it makes it a lot better, yeah.
Yeah, but it seems like things got warmer faster, and we would have a blast of winter, then it would go away. Now things just lingers.
It's kind of hanging on, but I think that that has a lot to do with where we live.
Yeah. Well,
we always have that. April is not a warm. It's not a spring month. That's for sure.
Not
and
fun.
May can even be bad.
And right. Yeah, we had
the
that
whole summer. Can be bad.
That Mother's Day storm. Remember that one?
Remember that came out of
94
or 5, something like that.
Yeah, and
it's like, what's going on here?
6 inches of snow out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, Joe Scripa deals with people coming and going around Syracuse, businesses and people. He's the owner of the Scripa Group, Real Estate and Property Management. So, hi, Joe.
Hi, Tom.
How are you? Our street's kind of wet and muddy. And
oh, my
all that.
goodness. Cicero is wet right now. I can't imagine Rattlesnake Gulch is going to be Route 298.
Yes.
Well, I heard that Beach Road
is overflowing again.
Yeah.
Well, when you live on Beach Road.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
You got to anticipate it.
My lawn is flooded. Well, you live on Beach Road.
Yeah, right. It is a beach.
Yeah.
That's right.
What do you see in, as far as residential? I know that's not your total concentration, but
we have, a good
movement.
handful of agents in the office that are dealing with it. What are we seeing? We list a house, and there's 20 offers, and it's going over list price.
So they're still doing the bidding.
Still doing the bidding, unfortunately. I think that's very difficult for both sides. I mean, the sellers feel like winners, but sometimes really what happens is there's a lot of clouds there and a lot of animosity with everybody.
Right.
And it's a very difficult, tenuous time for the seller even, with picking an offer.
People are foregoing inspections.
Yep. There's some legislation right now to curb that and make it mandatory, which is probably not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Home inspection on a better level, though. I think there's a lot of home inspectors that
just scratch the surface.
Pretty much. Using contractors is a better practice, and that's what we do in commercial real estate. Is typically we'll take each vendor, like a HVAC guy, an electrician, and have them go inspect everything. In home inspections, somebody goes and gets a license. It could be you, me, anybody. Their background wouldn't have to be in construction or anything like that. Take a bunch of classes and go do checklists.
Yeah.
And some are better than others. We have a select few that we like to use, but right now nobody's allowing inspections, so it's buyer beware.
Crazy. So how is commercial real estate doing? Are we seeing an uptick since they've cleared the grounds over there?
Well, I'll tell
Micron?
you, that's a definite yes. Right now we have a huge shortage of industrial warehousing space and industrial land, believe it or not. So with all that construction that's going on, materials are going to arrive to town. And on your construction site, you don't want to have your materials there and have all these excavators trying to work around it. You try to put storage sites next to the building site and just, shuttle material over. So we have a terrible shortage. So if somebody has land that's zoned industrial, we'd love to hear about that, because in proximity within a few miles of Micron, because we have a lot of calls right now to lease land.
Do people call you arbitrarily that may be moving into the area, a company, like say, a big retail spot or a big restaurant that's coming to town?
You wouldn't typically get a retail company to call us direct. If they do, they usually have a representative, or we're pursuing them to represent them.
I gotcha.
So right now we do represent some national chains on the retail side, which we're working to find locations. We did not do or have anything to do with Raising Cane's, but Raising Cane's was just announced.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah,
on Erie Boulevard. But companies like that, we do represent some. And then if we represent a property and we have the inventory or the space to lease to them, their tenant rep will call us, to lease the space.
Are they looking for a certain amount of population before they come in?
Oh, they're looking for population, traffic, income.
Yeah.
They study all that before they pick a site. Yeah.
And you think Micron is going to bring the...
Oh, our north burbs are going to change, I think, dramatically.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize, if you drive by the site today, you'll see clusters of 50, 60, 70 excavators in one spot. Mm-hmm. Those they're probably paying $400 an hour to run those things.
No kidding.
Wow.
Times that many.
Yeah.
So we have a real estate issue. We need houses. If you've thought of selling and you want to downsize or something, you look at some of these older neighborhoods. We would get it because our age group, right?
Yeah.
We remember the days of people buying homes for $80,000 to $150,000. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, that house today is in the mid 3s to low 4s. Okay. So you've built equity. If it's time to start going back and forth to Florida or Georgia or the Carolinas or something like that, there's no better time now than to get your equity out of your house. And there's no listings. We just listed a house. It's not even going to barely hit the market. It'll be gone in a day.
Are you taxed on what you make on your house? Like if you have a $300,000 house and you owe nothing on it, you have a full $300,000. Do you have to reinvest that, or do you get a capital gains on that?
No capital gains on your primary residence. If it was a rental property, capital gains, yes.
Okay.
Yep. So if it's
you don't have to invest that in another piece of property.
It's tax-free.
It is tax-free.
No income tax. Yep.
No kidding. The only thing I think once you downsize, for me, it would cost more to downsize.
Well, there's a limit. It could. Yeah, it could. There is a limit on that. I think it's $500,000. So if you made more than $500,000 on your sale, then you would get taxed on it, capital gains. But you can make up to $500,000. I think that's.
So there's no federal and no state capital gains.
Not to that limit, and I think it is
okay.
500,000.
Okay.
Not positive.
I'm out of that ball game. Yeah, thank goodness. Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you downsize, what would you do with the butler and the maids and stuff? Where would they work?
Here's the problem on the downsize. Okay, you own a big house.
Yeah.
You sell the big house, the 300,000, or let's say the 3,000 square foot house. The newer home's 20, 30 years old. It sells for $500,000. What are you going to buy for $300,000? Is going to be a 1,400 to 1,800 square foot home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, in my case, I have a lot of land, and I could just, my dogs go out, and
it's beautiful.
I cannot duplicate that. I don't want to be next to somebody where I can hear their toilet flush.
Right.
Right? And you see that. It's like, wow, how do you do that? So.
Well, if you want to go anywhere, coming and goings, call Joe Scripa, the owner of the Scripa Group Real Estate and Property Management, scripagroup.com, and you can call them at 452-1200, 452-1200. A full team over there, including Joe himself, be happy to talk with you. You have a great rest of the day, Joe.
You too, Tom.